Today's topic is how to sing, period. I want to go through the entire process of how singing happens. So if you had anything that was not clear to you, this is the video for you. All right, let's dive right in. The first thing you need is to take in air so that you can actually make the vocal cords vibrate. In order to take air in, it's very beneficial to have a posture that allows you to expand your lungs in an unhindered way. In order to make that happen, you want to lift your sternum, and that will activate those muscles that are all around your ribs, meaning those are the muscles that control you being able to take in air and push the air back out. When you slouch, you can test it yourself. It's really a lot harder to engage those muscles that I call the core muscles that are in your midsection here around your abs and back and sides. As soon as you lift yourself, you can feel that just lifting yourself requires you to really use those muscles. So that is the first thing that happens. The second thing, in order to take in air, of course, you have to expand your lungs and your ribs. Your lungs fill with air, and when you inhale, and they let the air out when you exhale. So just picture the air coming in. You want that to happen in an unhindered way also. Opening the mouth is really cool because your nose isn't that big and it doesn't let in as much air as quickly. If you have a lot of time, you may be able to breathe through your nose when you inhale, but it's always the better way to inhale through your mouth because it's the most direct way, it's the most unobstructed way. And then not only do you want to inhale through your mouth, but if you want the air to not be blocked by anything, it is a really cool thing to open up the throat, meaning you lift your soft palate even as you inhale. You don't want anything to be in the way of the air that you need probably often as quickly as you can. So it's like, instead of, you can literally hear when the air has something blocking it and when the way isn't free and when the path isn't free to go for the air. So now as you're taking in the air, your lungs blow up and you expand. As you expand, you can also feel that those muscles engage that keep that posture, because otherwise you'd be like this, you would be collapsing, and as you're collapsing, you're just letting the air out because you're not using those muscles to keep the air in longer. Now comes the hard part. After you've taken in the air and your lungs are filled all the way, as much as possible, you now want to control that going out of air, and that includes a few elements that really influence that. Number one, keeping the muscles engaged that keep the expansion, that keep the posture in order to engage those muscles. See how that is a cycle? Keeping that posture and the engagement and the expansion is very important, otherwise the air just goes out. Number two, your vocal cords, as they start vibrating, they come together. When you sing lower pitches, of course, they are more short and thick so that they create slower frequencies with lower pitches. As you sing higher and higher, the vocal cords stretch more and they get tighter and tenser. They also come together closer. Now, that in combination with you not just loosely letting the air out, but actually making a dense airstream helps compression. See? When I want to blow through a straw that is very small, there is some resistance, and so I have to push from those ab muscles right here from my core in order to make the air go through that very small opening. And the same thing happens with your vocal cords when they're very close together and very tightly closed, and you have your core engaged. You can create that compression that then condenses the air and creates that very dense airstream. And you need that when you sing really high. Just imagine a flute or a clarinet. If you've ever played any of those instruments, when you don't have air pressure, nothing comes out. You need a specific amount of pressure for each pitch for it to be able to vibrate. Now, of course, the vocal cords can be controlled also. There are not only one pair of muscles, there are several pairs of muscles that actually control the position and the thickness of the vocal cords. So I can't tell you how to work those muscles because you can't see them, and you have to learn to feel and to distinguish and to isolate, is this my vocal cords or is this my larynx that I'm now feeling? Is this the pharyngeal space? There are a lot of muscles that control each part here. Now, as your vocal cords vibrate, you can totally adjust how tight they close or how loosely they close. The looser they are, the more you will hear air escaping that isn't translated into actual pitch. It is actually pitches, but it's more of a hissing sound. I mean, that is a frequency, but it's not the frequency of the pitch that you're intending. And sometimes you intentionally want to incorporate a little bit of breathy sound. Breathy sound really only means you hear the air and the frequency of the air as it moves through those passages here. So sometimes I could do that without even any vibration of the vocal cords. Sometimes I could do it with some vibration of the vocal cords and a lot of air escaping. And sometimes I could do it with a lot of vocal cord vibration and no air escaping that is actually not translated into that vibration. After the actual frequency and the vibration is created, those sound waves travel. You either can keep them from coming out your mouth by closing your mouth, and that will happen when you do like an M sound. As you can already see, I'm not just leaving my tongue glued to my hard palate on the top, but I'm actually taking them apart and I'm creating a little bit of space so that then the sound waves can actually go into some space and be amplified. If I don't do this, all the sound waves can do is travel like right here. There is still some vibration because all of my bone structures here around my skull, they also vibrate. They have frequencies of their own and they also vibrate along. So that's what you hear as harmonics or overtones or squillo. These are all the hollow spaces and the actual bones that vibrate along that have frequencies. And this, the resonance, meaning where the sound waves travel, that is where you can do a lot. You can change your sound so much. You can either move the larynx up and down, which then creates a different sound because sound waves bounce off different places. See how I can sound so different. I also can move my tongue and my lips, of course, as you can see. But what you cannot see, and I always talk about below the surface, there's a lot that happens, is your larynx and your pharyngeal space. Your pharynx basically is that entire area that begins right around where your uvula is, and behind that continues on. I mean, we call it the throat. It's that area that you can really move. When you yawn, it opens up a lot. You can feel literally, it stretches way. But when you make it very small, hello, I will not sing. I can move my lips and my tongue, but the back of my throat is very closed. You see it as my tongue because the truth is there are some muscles that work together with other muscles. So when you move your pharyngeal space, when you move that pharynx, and when you lift your soft palate, well, what's opposite that soft palate moves at the same time. And there are literally endless possibilities on how you can shape that pharyngeal space. It's a round space like that, but you can maybe make the front a little bit more flat or the back more flat or lift the back and lift the front, lift the middle a little bit more. You can make it into all kinds of different shapes. And I will link a video below that I think is so amazing because it shows you someone did it in the MRI and sang in different styles, and you can see how the pharyngeal space and continuing on to the tongue, how you can make all these different spaces and how shaping it differently will make different sounds. Now, of course, there are elements such as vibrato. That is an oscillation, and it's really that fine-tuning of some of those muscles here that change pitch and that change intensity that are involved here, but it's very, very subtle. However, this does make a big difference in sound, whether I'm singing a straight tone or I have a vibrato oscillation on the tone. Now, when we move away from the actual vocalization process, when it comes to musicality, there's a lot we can do. So we can get louder and softer. We can slide on a pitch up and down, or we can directly approach the pitch. Da 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 da. Makes a big difference. So the musical aspect is another huge thing, and how to sound either this way or that way. And I have tons of videos that go more into depth about every single aspect here. I just wanted to present to you the actual process of how singing happens. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend who may also benefit. And check out all my free resources on my website, masteryourvoice.tv. I have a free 5-day belting challenge. I have a free 7 days to perfect support course that you can start right now. I hope you have a most wonderful and blessed week. I hope to see you soon. Until then, always keep on singing and always keep a song in your heart.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved us.